YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back after Sunday's action of NFL Week 6. Here to give you my takeaways, recap some of the games. I think I say this every week, but I'm going to try to make this video a little shorter. Ends up being really long. Ends up being a lie. Ends up being very long, but we actually got two Monday night games. One starting pretty early, 4 o'clock my time, 5 Eastern. So we got to get through this video. I actually want to do a mock draft today, so we'll see if we can get to all these videos. So gonna give some of my quick takeaways from these games here in Week 6. Follow our Twitter, live tweeting during games. We do it every Sunday. We're gonna do it during the Monday night games. Give you my thoughts mainly. Instagram, podcast, Patreon. Trying to reach 60K subscriber goal. We got full NFL coverage, unlike anyone else. So we got you covered. Everything. We literally have everything. So please subscribe to the channel. We much appreciate it. At Patreon has a bunch of extra content. Score predictions from Junior, who's in the lead for Pick'ems. My locks of the week, which have been going very well. Bets of the week for college football, NFL. Score predictions for college as well. Updated playoff predictions starting. We'll start those maybe this week, if not next week. But once we start those, they'll be updated every week. Bonus content. Discord access, a lot more. Let's start with the Bears and the Panthers. 23-16. I predicted 23-20 Bears, so we were pretty much in the ballpark here. Kind of went to it as planned. You know, I thought the difference would be the Bears' defense, which I think was the best unit on the field. I predicted was going to be the best unit on the field, and it was. So the game kind of went to plan here. Teddy had a little, rough game there. The first few weeks, the Panthers fans were like, Teddy's just a bridge quarterback. He's not the answer. We're going to draft a guy. And they started winning games like Teddy's the franchise. And now is it going to go back to what they were saying before? I want everyone to stay put to the word here, give it a shot here. But I like Teddy, but that was a rough game. For him, not awful, but not the best game, obviously. Pretty big game for the Bears defense, obviously. Felt like Roquan Smith was everywhere. Akeem Hicks has been doing a great job stopping a run as usual. They missed him last year. Big Akeem Hicks fan. They were getting their pressure on him. They really sacked Bridgewater. He's pretty good at stepping up, getting around the pressure, but it definitely affected him. I thought, the safety duo actually played good. Sometimes you worry about Jackson kind of carrying the load, having to have so much responsibility. I thought Gibson played a pretty good game as well. I did worry about the speed of the Panthers receivers kind of being not really a problem, but because the Bears corners are very good, but I guess more of a problem. Not a problem, but more of a problem compared to the normal, Mike Evans, receivers like that. And you could see that Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, the speed of those guys It made it tougher, I guess, but overall they did a pretty good job. If Teddy was accurate, maybe they could have hit a little more shots. Maybe if he didn't turn the ball over, they could have done a little more, maybe won this game. But the Bears controlled this game. Every Bears game has been a little scary. This one, the Panthers might have had a shot. They got the ball back, threw an interception. But it wasn't like those other games. The Bears controlled this game. Foles played an okay game, solid game, did his job, except for that interception in the red zone. I thought that they could have really made it a little more comfortable if he didn't throw the interception there. Overall, I thought the pass protection was pretty good. That might have been the only play he had pressure on that I can remember. I don't know if I saw every single snap because I'm watching every game. But yeah, I still want the Bears to get the run game going. It wasn't terrible, but you definitely want to see a little more of it. But that's kind of the impressive part. I say it every week. It's kind of the positive and the negative. A lot of teams kind of have these. The Bears, they don't really have a running game. They're one-dimensional, but they're still winning. They're still winning. If they can get a running game going, the team might be just scary, really scary. So, yeah, Bears defense was just the difference in this one. Panthers had a good streak going, but they haven't seen something, like the Bears defense, within that streak, which they played some really good ball. But yeah, I thought Brian Burns could be a little more. I love Brian Burns' game. He's gonna be a special edge rusher, and maybe he got some pressure at times, but I thought he'd be a little more of a factor. So the Bears' pass protection looks definitely better than last year. Not that it was bad last year. I guess run blocking is the only thing that could use some work, but another good win for the Bears there. Good statement win. Continue to streak. Wow, what a game this was. Bengals, Colts. I told you guys this one was going to be scary for the Colts. I told you it would be close. I did have the matchup the matchup didn't go against the Colts. That's why I talked about all week. It didn't really go against the Colts, but it was a pretty solid matchup for the Bengals. Sometimes it's a great matchup for one team, and that means it's a bad matchup for the other team, but sometimes it's not really like that. Good matchup for the Bengals, and they were just outplaying the Colts, early in that game. I was tweeting about it, not only the Bengals got the matchup going, but I was starting to feel like the Bengals might just be the better team, which was wild to me because I knew the matchup problems, but I still picked the Colts because they're a better team. But early on, it looked like the Bengals just had too many playmakers. The Colts didn't have enough playmakers. Darius Leonard being out as well was that difference, and the Bengals were able to move the ball. And why it was a solid match for the Bengals, the Colts got a really good defense, but they don't have like a ridiculous pass rush. DeForest Buckner's a beast. Is he going to impact the game? I mean, he can by himself, but Houston can get some pressure here and there. But do they have the pass rush like the blitz game that the Ravens had against the Bengals? So I thought, Joe Burrow with his collection of weapons would be able to move the ball, and they did pretty early. They did that a good job. Even Joe Mixon or even Bernard, guys like that were getting extra yards that you thought they'd be able to get. So they came out dominating. The Colts, kind of going 3 and out. Doyle had that fumble when no one touched them. The Bengals were really piling it on. 21-0. It looked like, even though in the back of my mind I thought the Colts can definitely come back, kind of felt like the Bengals had it figured out there. But then they went a little conservative. You look, again, I'm not a big stats guy, but if you look at the stats, I guess Joe Burrow threw the ball pretty well. No passing touchdowns. Didn't have the interception. But, in terms of, high completion percentage, completing passes, playing a good game overall, he's doing pretty well. They got pretty conservative, started running the ball a little bit. But it was weird because they didn't go full conservative. They either run the ball and they would have like 3rd and short, and they would throw like a deep ball, maybe not deep, but more than, 10 yards. When you got 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. So very questionable play calling when they got up. So we see that could be a weakness. So that could be a reason why they allowed to come back. But the Colts kind of just being a better team. Phillip Rivers went out there. He did have an interception. That was a really good play by Jesse Bates. I think just, Phillip Rivers hitting those throws. There was some really, tight throws, corner routes, that he just kind of hit, even on the Pascal had a great grab on the touchdown. The one to Doyle actually live, I thought, did he lose that ball as he slid out of bounds? And I ended up seeing that, throughout the rest of the night a couple more times. I was surprised. I know every touchdown's review, but some of those ones like that, they actually go in depth and actually go to the booth review. I'm still surprised. I'm surprised not more people aren't talking about that. He caught the ball, and as he slid, the ball came loose, and I don't know what was going on with him, but he was like, I don't know, he wasn't moving for a second. I got a little scared, and then he got up and celebrated. But yeah, I'm surprised. I thought that ball was loose when he slid out of bounds. So that was an interesting one and a crucial moment of this game. But overall, the Bengals outplayed them early. The Colts came through and really outplayed them. I was disappointed in the Bengals play calling, but the Colts were really picking apart the defense of the Bengals. Phillip making some tight throws. There were some big catches out there. Receivers were stepping up, ones that we're not really used to seeing step up. Offensive line really protected Phillip then. Again, we know the Bengals got to get their offensive line together. That really wasn't a factor in this game, but we know that's probably the biggest need. But kind of going back to pass rush, the pass rush is really non-existent. I was going back to the Browns game. I was saying that, and yeah, I know the Colts have a good offensive line, but there's got to be some more push, some more pressure. So excellent comeback for the Colts. That'll get some momentum going for sure. That's a big time comeback. A little scary in the beginning though. You can't do that against better teams here. So 31-27. I didn't expect the Bengals to get all up like that to start, but other than that, the game kind of went to plan, being close, being the Bengals having a shot in this game. But fun game to watch for sure. Lions and Jags. It kind of went to plan as well. The Lions actually won by a bit more than I thought they would, but I was pretty damn confident in them winning. Off the bye, all it is, like I've been saying, all it is against the Jaguars is just have the right game plan. And with a week off, Patricia's still a good defensive mind. He just really hasn't got the best weapons out there, but a good defensive mind still. There wasn't really a doubt. The Lions could pretty much score on anybody, so there really wasn't a doubt them pushing the ball against the Jags. So really, it was just Patricia really have the right game plan, a little more press man going, a little more tight man coverage, force these guys to throw the deep ball. Exactly what he did, So it was just about having the right game plan. He did it. They were trying to force Minshew to throw it deeper. He threw an interception when he threw it deeper. That's a reason why he doesn't throw it deep a lot. And then he had that strip sack. He held the ball for pretty long, and then the wind up to throw it deep was really dramatic. Really dramatic is probably the wrong word. Exaggerated, probably the right word. So that one's on him as well. So yeah, just force him to throw deep. The only good part, Keelan Cole I thought played a pretty good game. DJ Chark played a good game, but you kind of look at the numbers. He was targeted a whopping 14 times. 7 out of 14 he caught. That's 50%. That's not really good, but is it him? I don't think it's really him. It's just they need a quarterback to suit him a little better. Not that Minshew played all that terrible, but it's just a limited offense with a guy like that. He's been impressive in his time, but it's very limited. It's very easy to game plan at this time of the year. So Lions did that. Stafford really didn't have to do a whole bunch. That's kind of the good thing. They scored 34 points. There's more to Stafford's game. Galladay played a pretty good game, but there's more. Great to see DeAndre Swift going a couple big-time runs. AP starts it off with the score. But DeAndre Swift, it's about time, really got going in this game, so it's great to see that. Definitely should be a top pickup if he's a free agent in anyone's fantasy league because they're starting to trust him a little bit. You love to see that. So it looks like maybe you never know, week by week, but maybe they felt a little more comfortable easing him in against the Jaguars the way this game was going. So the Lions took care of business there. Not too much I got in this game. They took care of business. They had the right game plan. Jags, again, I've been saying it every week. It's not the end of the world when this happens. This is the real Jags, but it's not the end of the world because they kind of built their team to do this. They have a load of draft picks. It could be the team. They have to draft right first, but it could be one of the teams that to look out for in the future. Maybe not near future. I know rookies are producing, I guess, pretty early on, so that's the good thing with a lot of draft picks here. Finding more and more pro-ready, mainly offensive rookies. So that's the fantastic part. Big win for the Lions there. Wow, the 0-5 Falcons really give it to the Vikings, 40-23. And I don't know if that even shows. That's a huge win. I don't even know if that even shows how easy this game was for them, how much they dominated this game. I think the main part, there was some really bad play for the Vikings defense, and there was some fourth down conversions, just like against the Seahawks, converted here for the Falcons that were big plays that actually not only turned into first downs, but turned into touchdowns. On those fourth downs. That kind of what stands out to most people. What stands out to me is the Vikings offense. The Vikings offense really got going pretty much every week besides the Colts game. And it actually seemed at the point that the concern was not their offense, but in this game, even though they gave up 40 points, the current concern was everything. Let's be honest, was absolutely everything, maybe besides Justin Jefferson. But the game by the time when the game actually meant something, when they still had a chance, they had 7 points. I felt like the game was over before then anyways. Against the Falcons defense, the defense that might be the worst in football, that can't get pass rush, all of a sudden started getting pass rush because the Vikings offensive line, that really can't do much. Kirk Cousins, the first play of the game, Kirk Cousins throws it right to, I thought Jefferson was open. Tough throw, though. He just throws it right to the defender. Kirk Cousins, was never a great quarterback, but I thought he had a pretty solid season last year. Went from mediocre in year one to pretty solid last year. But those years, he didn't really turn the ball over a whole, or he had fumbles, but he didn't really throw interceptions a whole bunch. Now, it's just like there's not too much big playability, and he's throwing interceptions left and right. And this is it's sad. It's just an awful season for him. Awful season for the offense line. I know it's a tough task with a constant pressure in your face, but you got to find ways, and it's just not the answer right now. So it looks pretty bad for the Vikings. The Falcons, defense. Got to give the defense credit. I'm more disappointed in the Vikings offense, but you got to give them credit. They got pressure. They made plays. They're playmakers out there, flying to the ball. The Vikings could still run even if Cook's in there or not. Obviously, they're much better with Cook, but my point was the Falcons really shut that down, sniffing out runs in the backfield. They were predicting plays very well, I thought, which it's not too hard against the Vikings, but that stood out to me. Matt Ryan was great. Julio Jones, good to have him back. He was fantastic. That fourth down play to him, credit to him, getting all the way to the end zone, stiff arm there at the end. But Matt Ryan, that was a sensational play by Matt Ryan there. But extremely disappointed with the Vikings. It's good to see the first-round pick, Justin Jefferson, playing good. Was not a fan of him dancing and celebrating like that after that touchdown when they were just getting their ass beat. I never liked that. So, but overall, he had a really good game. Route running's there. They got a guy there. They got a guy in the first round. That's for sure. But Falcons, 0-5 Falcons dominated this game. So when you lose like that to an 0-5 team, you almost think something's got to change. People are talking about Mike Zimmer getting fired, and I think it's pointless to fire him right now. I think it's pointless because who's going to take over? Kubiak might be just as even of a blame, if not more, than than Zimmer. Zimmer had, his son's on the staff. Like, who would take over here? I think you would have a disaster. Kubiak also doesn't want to be a head coach. He's also said that. Nobody to take over as a head coach if you fire him now. They're not playing simple. They're not going to fire him. I think he'll be the coach next year. For me, I think Zimmer's a great defensive mind. I think the league has changed so much. I think everybody should have an offensive-minded coach because if you don't, you're probably going to have like an option B as your offensive coordinator because the best offensive guys want to be head coaches. They want to be the head coach. It's rare that they don't want to be. So, big-time mess in Minnesota there. That's a big-time win for the Falcons. Maybe they can turn their season around there. Washington, okay, this is the game I want to talk about the most. This game almost makes me sick, honestly. And you would think it's because it's two bad teams. Not really. And I'm actually going to rip the Giants more than Washington here. The Giants, okay, let me get this out of the way first. Giants won the game, first win of the year. Congrats to them. They won, plain and simple. The defense played good. They tightened up that 2-point conversion. And I don't mind going for that if I'm Washington. They tightened up the coverage, made it very hard for Kyle Allen. Really stepped up there. That was credit to them there. The strip sack for a touchdown. That's the play of the game. Kyler Fackrell awarded the strip sack on that one. So that's a big time play. He's been playing pretty solid. That's a big time play, game changing play. So let's get that out of the way. Good for the Giants there. This game, the Giants played to not lose this game. They game planned for it, and that's how they played. They played to not lose. They didn't play to win. They played to not lose, and I'm very confident about this. I know this. And they still won. That's almost a slap in the face, as just in general a football fan for me. Me being a football fan, just a diehard NFL, football fan. It's a little bit of a slap in the face, I think. I hate when teams play like this. They still won the game. That's a knock on Washington there. The team played not to lose. They didn't play to win. You still lost. That's pretty bad. It's really bad. The Giants, I guess the positive is they didn't really play to win. They still won. So if they can figure things out, they can be better, I suppose. But they went in, and I picked the Washington football team because the only factor I saw in this game was Washington's pass rush getting after Daniel Jones. And if you notice, it really didn't. I think they have one sack, Brian Kerrigan, if I remember. Yeah. I think they forced an interception. It was a really good play by Fuller. How many times did Daniel Jones throw the ball? He threw the ball 19, 18, somewhere around there. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's around there. Barely anything. 12 for 19, something like that. And it's all in a way you can look at it where it's like kind of smart. Because what they saw is the factors. What I saw, Washington's pass rush in Daniel Jones continues to fumble when he's hit. Every time, if he gets hit 3 times in a game, he might lose the ball. When he's under pressure, he throws interceptions. So they win this game as we can't have that happen. We can't have that happen. So we got to limit our passes as much as we can. When we do pass, it's got to be quick outs. It's got to be just quick dump offs. It's going to be small ball. And sometimes it's a good plan, but and it kind of was a good plan, but it's just not playing to win. It's playing to not lose. And you look within the game, they were playing to punt. They were playing to punt. They were playing the field position game. They were playing to punt the ball and pin Washington in their own end. That is how they were playing. They were playing to not run. They wanted to cut down how many offensive plays they were going to run because they did not want their turnover-prone quarterback to hold on to the ball in the pocket. And this, Gettleman's got to believe in Daniel Jones still. But Joe Judge, you could see in a game like this against a team that is not good, does not trust Daniel Jones. So I think the coaching staff will be looking for a quarterback. The front office may not be. That I smell a little bit of a mess there. We'll see. Maybe they'll get on the same page. But that is how they play. I think they had a 4th and 2, 1.5, around there at one point. 38-yard line, somewhere around there. I can't remember the specifics, but I'm in the ballpark. Yeah, that might be actually exactly on. Of Washington, they purposely took a delay of game. They did not want to kick the field goal. They did not want to go for it. They purposely took the delay of game to punt the ball. They were playing the field position game, and in a way, you can say it's smart because they won the game. But they played to not lose the game, and they still almost lost. Washington, the game was supposed to go to overtime. If Washington wasn't a bad team, they would have kicked the extra point, went to overtime. If they would have converted that 2-point conversion, the Giants still would have lost that game. So I'm sick from this game. I'm weird, maybe I'm weird, but that is 100% what I gather from this game. The Giants played to punt the ball. They played to not lose the game. Their game plan was, let's have our quarterback not have the ball in his hand as many times as he can. Let's not let him go out and try to win this game. Let's not let him go try to get better. And they still won, but the fact that they almost blew that game, almost lost that game, pretty pathetic, honestly. So, yeah, I'm going on a bit of a rant here. I don't like a game like that. Kyle Allen, high highs, super high highs, super low lows. The interception, the fumble. I mean, sometimes, the fumble, the strip sack, it's tough. Almost not every quarterback, almost every quarterback could fumble in a situation like that, I suppose. You can't fumble with 3 minutes left in the game. They did miss it. I remember Washington missed a field goal, too. Washington should have won this game, I'm going to say. The Giants, played the field position game, thought that was going to be, I thought Washington should have won this game. I'd pick Washington again and again in this game. They missed a field goal, that strip sack for them. That's a good play by the Giants. Kyler Fackrell's a sneaky good player. They had tight coverage on the defensive line's good for the Giants. They had tight coverage and 2-point conversion. So credit to them where credit is due. But Kyle Allen had some good, corner route throws, corner of the end zone. He had some good tight throws. If you throw the ball that many times, I expect more yards. The interception was bad. The strip sack was bad. So he had there's some really good moments, like wild throws. I mean, not too many of them, but, there's not, Daniel Jones, I don't think he can make those throws. So interesting game. Washington probably should win that game. Like I said, I don't mind going for 2 there. I thought there was a split moment where Kyle Allen could have run and he would have had it. But it was a really quick moment, so I guess it was tough. But it basically was like they didn't even have a play. Credit to the Giants' defense there, but it was basically like there was really no shot there. So, and they had a shot to win the game, though, and that's unfortunate there. Ravens and Eagles, weird game. Weird game, but the same way, remember me describing this game, breaking down this game in the videos this week going into this one. Ravens, they're one of the best blitzing teams in football. They blitzed the absolute crap out of Joe Burrow. Why? Because the offense line isn't that good, because it's a rookie quarterback, because he hasn't been too great under pressure. Actually, maybe better than most people think, but and that will make him have less time. It's common sense. They're going to blitz him, and it worked out. That's what they did. They blitzed. It was smart. Carson Wentz, a struggling offensive line. Guy that's really struggling under pressure. He hasn't really seen a ton of blitz yet. When he has, it's worked out pretty well. So what are the Ravens going to do? They're going to do what they do best. They're going to blitz. That's my game plan. But you look at the Ravens versus the Chiefs, Mahomes. Why? The main reason why the Chiefs won that game, the main reason, there's multiple reasons, but the main reason was because the blitz was not a factor. The Ravens could not play their game. Mahomes read it pre-snap. He read it when it was coming at him. He's able to step around it, avoid it, throw when it's coming at him, pick up his reads earlier than most quarterbacks. It's why Mahomes is great. It's one of the many reasons why he's great. So the Ravens had to change their defense. That's their defense. So they had to change their defense basically because they run a lot of cover zero, which is man coverage, no deep, and they got a lot of blitzing coming at the offense. They couldn't do it, and that's the main reason why they lost the game. Now, what was I saying going into this game? The old Carson Wentz, not Patrick Mahomes, but pretty similar in a lot of ways, where he can actually read these things, and he has the athletic ability and the throw on the run ability, the quick read ability to beat the blitz. So I picked the Ravens because I think that blitz would be a factor, because this year's Carson Wentz looks like he would struggle against the blitz. But I also said if the old Carson Wentz shows up, it could be something similar to what Mahomes did to the Ravens. He can see it coming, he can avoid it, he can throw on the run. And that kind of showed up in this game. It was highs and lows for Carson Wentz. He had the fumble, obviously. That was pretty bad. He had some that will go unnoticed, throwing off his back foot, kind of lobbing it when he should bullet it. He's had quite a few of those this year where he's lobbing balls when he should be a dart on the line. He had moments like that. But then he was starting to beat the blitz. There was some questionable third down blitzes by the Ravens where it was 3rd and long, and you're just thinking the Eagles are, they might get a chunk of yards here. They're probably gonna have to punt. Ravens they're fine. They're up in this game, but they would blitz. What happens when you blitz like that? Somebody's probably open. Yeah, honestly, every time there's going to be somebody open, but in that short amount of time, knowing that somebody's coming at you, are you going to be able to scan the field and find him? Mahomes can do it, but Wentz was starting to do it. They was finding the open receiver. The guy was so open because, the blitz. The Ravens did have some penalties that hurt them, resulting in the Eagles coming back as well. But I think the game kind of almost went to plan, and we saw a little bit of both there. Carson Wentz able to pick up the blitz. So when that doesn't work, the Ravens. Really, the only thing they made some plays on defense, but the only thing the Ravens had going for them today was Lamar Jackson. He didn't throw extremely well. He threw okay. He completed passes. There was some impressive throws, especially early on the move. It's what he can do. It's no surprise. Receivers, you see receivers pretty much, it's a need, like we said. They need another number one receiver. I like picking up Duvernay. I like picking up Prochet. I like Miles Boykin, but these are guys that I like as rotation guys. Hollywood Brown, who I honestly haven't been that thrilled with for the moment. He's good. He's very good. He was a little better early in the first couple games and the last couple games. He's good. He's the number one receiver. Not extremely thrilled with him. That doesn't mean I think anywhere near bad, so I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way. And he's going to get better. But they need another number one receiver. They might need the number one receiver. Your teams have two number one receivers. They might need that number one receiver still. They really do. So that's a need. But yeah, Lamar Jackson, you look at the running game's a disaster for the Ravens. It's weird because the running game's a disaster, but they're running for a whole bunch of yards. It's because Lamar Jackson is an absolute freak. So Mark Ingram getting hurt definitely didn't help them. They couldn't get Gus Edwards going. They couldn't get J.K. Dobbins going. They drafted Dobbins in the second round, which feels like a third-string running back at this point. That really can't get going. I know he's talented, but he really can't get going. I know Mark Ingram's not the future, so J.K. Dobbins, sure, he's there for a reason, but you had other needs that could help you. So the Ravens win at the end of the day. They put up 30 points. They made big plays, so that's good for them. But, the only thing going, it's Lamar Jackson's offense. And we kind of thought that last year, but Mark Ingram was going off. The receiver, everyone was going off here. And you see the difference without Marciano. That could be a problem as well. But when the blitz game ain't working on defense, the defense hasn't really looked that pretty this year. It's in no way bad, but that's my takeaway for that, and that's a big reason why the Eagles started to come back. I want to see Carson Wentz put a full game together the last couple weeks. Compared to the first couple weeks, big difference. First few weeks, he was just bad, pretty bad in general. Last few weeks, there's great and there's bad. Let's put it together. Season goes on, we actually might be able to start to see a better Carson Wentz so they can start to get things going. Travis Fulgham looked pretty good again. There was some drops. Hightower had a bad drop. Greg Ward had a bad drop. Need Alshon back. Hightower, I thought it's a rookie year. I thought he'd be a little better, especially a fit for this group. They need Rager back as well. Miles Sanders was running pretty well, mainly because of one run that he did fumble on. Him getting hurt sure didn't help. More injuries added to the Eagles, so it's a tough year for them. Weird game though, almost a comeback. I think it was 17-6. Doug Peterson going for two. I absolutely hate most of the time he goes for two. That ended up costing them. Going for two that early, not getting it. So that was pretty bad. Browns and Steelers, dominating performance for the Steelers, 38-7 statement win. Everyone complaining that the Steelers haven't played anybody. And I understand, you want to see them play. You just say that. I want to see the Steelers play somebody, beat somebody better. I don't like the people saying, well, they're not good because they haven't played somebody. That doesn't make any sense at all. It makes no sense. A lot of people said that. They'll take it back now. They said it. No win in the NFL is free, maybe unless you're playing the Jets. So any win, it can be somewhat impressive in some way. Steelers are a very, very good team. This is the best defense in football. There's not too many defenses dying. It might be dead. Steelers got the best defense in football right now. I think the Bears are pushing for that spot as well. So pretty impressive. They got the pressure. And that's something that people were like, oh, the Browns' offensive line looks so great. Have they really played a great pass rush yet? Now they have, and they couldn't block them. So it's not so fast in the Browns' offensive line. It's definitely better than last year. But let's slow our roll a little bit. I think people kind of get on things a little too early. Baker played a bad game. I think some people will overreact and say Baker's bad now. I just relax a little bit. Not a good game though, but you can relax. I'll tell you exactly what the problem is with the Browns here. I mean, they couldn't block. Steelers defense is really good. The Steelers are better on both sides of the ball. They were better on both sides of the ball in this game. They made plays. That's really why. But the Browns, in what I've been saying, even in the offseason, we know the Browns could be a good team. They are a good team. It doesn't look like it in this game, but we know they're pretty good. They've had a pretty good year. They can be a sneaky good team. but they are. I don't know. This team really not built for like the playoff games like this. The playoff runs, and I've said that in the offseason, and it might be because of the system. Stefanski's done a good job calling plays this year. They've been unique at times. It's really a good fit for the pieces they have, including Baker Mayfield. I like the fit. I like the future. But I don't know if the system is built for games like this. I told you it's definitely not built from coming from behind. They were down pretty early. There's really no chance. That's why they stay at 7. I think the Ravens game, they had 6. It's why they stay there. They have no push whatsoever to come from behind. And that's because when this system, I should say, and team becomes one-dimensional, it's pretty easy to stop. It's very, very, very predictable. It's pretty easy to stop. It's similar thing what Minnesota has going on there, and it's the same system. It's what coming from there. If they don't establish the run early, and the other team is scoring points, the game's over. Game's over. 100% it's over. It makes them one-dimensional. The play-action pass is so important. When they're playing from behind, they can't really run the ball, and the running the ball kind of opens things up for the quarterback. It opens things up, whether it's play action or not, but really when it's play action. So it's just pocket passing. A team like the Steelers that can get a pass rush on a fairly new offensive line, it's game over. It's 100% game over. So that's exactly what happened here. And the Browns really couldn't play their game. This system is built to simplify things for the quarterback. But when things aren't going well, this system is made to look the quarter. I can't even talk right now. It's made to make the quarterback look like it's worse than he is. It's made to make his job a lot harder. I couldn't spit it out. It makes him look great when everything is going smooth, and no matter who the quarterback. I'm not labeling Baker. No matter who the quarterback is. When everything's going smooth, you run the ball, you open up that dagger, you open up the play-action pass, everything looks great. It's simplified, it's pretty easy, it's making the quarterback look great, he's playing well at the same time, but when it is not working, when you don't establish the run, it is an extreme, and you got pass rush in your face because they know it's because it's a good pass rush, and because they know exactly they're passing. Remember, defense is pretty much a guessing game. It is impossible for the quarterback to play. It is impossible. You're asking too much from him. It's a system that goes from one extreme to another. If you don't establish, remember Nick Chubb was out, so it could be a little different in the future. But if you don't establish the run early and the other team is scoring, which the Browns don't have the best defense, they made some plays this year. The game's over. And that's exactly what happened here. Bud Dupree had another good day for Stephon Tuitt. Minka Fitzpatrick jumped that route, pick 6, take it all the way to house. Love to see that. They did lose Devin Bush in this game. That's a tough blow. That sucks really bad. Unfortunate. But they're rolling. Impressed with the Steelers' offensive line as well. James Conner looked great in this game. He almost looks like he's maybe it's just me. Looks like another step towards healthy, actually. I'm starting to wonder, was he not 100% before? Because he had maybe it's just me, but he had a quicker, a burst, looked a little quicker, more speed actually. So, love to see that. Huge win for the Steelers. Absolutely huge win. Good to see Claypool getting some more action there. Not even close in this one though, but the Browns could bounce back. You got to start games a little better. Wow, this was a game here. 42-36, Titans win the ball game, and it's a big win, crazy game, overtime win. But it ended up might being a sad day, maybe a sad morning here because Taylor Lewan, one of the very best left tackles in football, maybe the best. He's up there. Left tackles in football. Out for the season, ACL injury. So that's just he walked off. So that's why it was odd. And he's been walking off the last couple weeks. I'm wondering if he kind of started that injury or if it really happened against Minnesota or maybe last week against the Bills because we've seen him come off. It's a tough loss. We're looking at the Titans right now, whether you think in the long run or not, but right now maybe the best team in football and the best offense maybe in football, and you can definitely possibly say they're a contender or more of a contender, percentage-wise, and they were. And now as such an important piece to the run game and mainly the pass game in a captain, a leader, is out for the season. So it's tough. It's tough. But a great win for the Titans. Still a very good team here. The Texans can put up points against you. The Titans defense a little shake. It's pretty damn shake. It's bad right now. They definitely need Adoree Jackson, so they should get Adoree Jackson back. That actually can improve their secondary much more. They need more of a pass rush, but sometimes it's on. I'm still waiting for Clowney to really go off. He kind of had that excuse where he didn't practice, and nobody had preseason. That kind of affected everybody, but he didn't have that much like everyone else, but he didn't practice until the week of, 1 week. He had 1 week of practice, but now it's starting to be the time where let's see him pick it up. But and Vrabel's a great coach, has a great coaching staff here, but they do a lot of 3-man rushes and just rely on the secondary too much, and that's not working. That's just not working. Pass rush is more important than coverage. You can't. That's because you can't. Nobody can cover forever. You take the best corner. Let's build the best corner of all time. Let's take part of Stephon Gilmore. Let's take part of Jalen, or the best corners in NFL history too. Take those guys. Darrelle Revis. Let's combine all. I don't know who they are. Combine all of them. I don't care. You pick them. They can't cover forever. That guy can't cover forever. And that's exactly what's happening here in Tennessee, and I think it's due to some 3-man rushes. So I want to see more blitzes. I want to see more 4-man rushes, maybe more. And I think they're holding that in the back pocket a little bit. Quite possible. But yeah, offensive game. Great game from Deshaun Watson. Great game Will Fuller. Brandon Cooks, coming alive, especially after last week, a little more this week. Randall Cobb had a great touchdown there. Just a shootout back and forth. I called it being a Derrick Henry game. It wasn't really much of a bold prediction, but it was a Derrick Henry game. I'd say so. But Tannehill played extremely well early. He did have a strip sack, and he did have an interception. Yeah, so two turnovers isn't good. Interception, they're not bad. It wasn't like a bad one. But other than that, played an extremely good game. Throwing the ball extremely accurate. I know Derrick Henry opening some things up for him. But yeah, the Texans' defense at times looked really bad, and I'm actually surprised the Titans didn't score more points based on how the game was going. I think if those turnovers didn't happen, the Titans were going to score more points. They were going to win this game, I think, with ease. So those turnovers were big. Taylor Lewan comes out in the game. J.J. Watt takes advantage, has that strip sack. So that was a good play by him. But yeah, back and forth in this game, a lot of just big-time plays. I don't know if one is standing out, within the game more than the other until we get down the stretch of the game. I'm trying to, so much happened. So much of the same thing happened. Derrick Henry busting that crazy run. You see how much he has more speed than you think. He was a 4.4 guy. Wild run there. But then, just back. The Texans have Will Fuller on a deep shot. So it's kind of just back and forth. And then the Texans go for 2. Actually, they decided to go for 2 after I think it was that Cobb touchdown. They decided to go for 2 in a wrong decision. No matter what, it's the wrong decision. They almost looked confused. Cornell almost looked confused when he was holding up 2. So that's pretty bad. Because I think he was confused, honestly. But somebody's got to tell him if that's the case. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just how it looked. So they go for 2, which they probably should have had, honestly. And if they would have got that would have been big. It was open, but a ball was tipped there, so that was a big-time play. And the Titans got the ball back, and I just knew. I tweeted it, too. I knew the Titans were scoring. They're going to score. But what was so great about this, what I love so much, I was tweeting about this as well, Arthur Smith, and I've been giving him credit, last year as well. Such a great offensive mind. Somebody is going to hire Arthur Smith to be their head coach because they need him as their offensive guy. And you see how well prepared and how smart these players are, but they are so well prepared for this situation. You can see they practiced this under 2-minute drill, but they practice the specific scenarios 100%. They practice it over and over again. And there's just smart players. It only works with certain players. They know what they're doing at the specific time. And even if you practice it, it's still tough. It's either you can do it or you can't, And they're able to do that. They're getting on the ball when they get down there in the red zone. Most teams would get on the ball and spike it. I think almost every team besides, I would say the Chiefs, the Patriots, they might do it too, though. They actually might do it. But they get on the ball and snap the ball. Why I love this is because I always talked about this in the past, too. It always feels like coordinators, play callers, offenses, they're following some kind of handbook that you play calling for dummies almost. You have to do this in this situation. You have to do this in this situation. Everyone's doing it. It's getting lame. It's getting predictable. And you're not playing to win. And I can't stand that. I've been saying that for years. But instead of spiking it, they get on the ball Everyone knew what was happening. They all knew what the play was. Tannehill knew exactly what he was doing. A.J. Brown knew exactly what he was doing. Get on the ball, perfect grab. A very, very close one, but looked like a touchdown. It's close. Knee hitting and the side of the feet hitting, very close. I'll say they got the right call, but that is so close. So that was a crucial moment as well. But I just love, being unique and just playing to win the game. Don't play to do what's right so I love that. I love that. And they go to overtime, and you kind of had a feeling whoever won this coin toss, you see Deshaun Watson's reaction. I see people complaining about overtime rules. The overtime rules, it comes up every time a game goes to overtime. And I kind of want to just say, shut up. Is this the best way for overtime to be? Probably not. I also don't think college overtime is exciting, but I also don't think that can be that. It can be that in the NFL. But this is how overtime is always. And they actually it's tweaked it a little bit to give the other teams a shot even. Maybe it's me. I don't really like change too much to a great sport, like rules like that or how things work. But it's how overtime's always been. How about build your defense? If you don't like it, make the stop. Build a defense. Get better players on defense. And I guess the same thing could happen to the Titans, but that's just how it is. Make the stop. The Titans got down there, then it was actually a crucial third down, and Titans were in Wildcat, and you almost got a gift. You know what they're doing. You absolutely know what they're not going to rip. I'm going to rip Bradley Roby a little bit because Bradley Roby was way too focused on the receiver and covering. And yeah, you got to be aware of the trick play. He can throw it, but his eyes, everything, his body was just focused on. And there's probably other players out there. Just one that I happened to notice. He was like, forget Derrick Henry. I'm covering my guy, and that's all I'm doing. That's what it looked like. So, I call people out when it's deserving. I'm not afraid to do it, but I'll do it to the whole Texans team because and people complaining about overtime. You knew Derrick Henry was running the ball. It was a great play. They've kind of act like they're going right, but it's nothing. It's nothing mind blowing. Rockets. It's not rocket science. Derrick Henry was running the ball. He had to go a pretty decent distance. And they still let him score. So make the stop. Don't complain about overtime, And the same thing goes. If it was flipped, the Texans might have scored, and Titans fans probably would have been complaining too. And I would say the same exact thing. So, maybe that's not maybe overtime could be better, but I don't know. It's what it is. It's kind of basically what it always has been. So monster game from Derrick Henry, good game from Deshaun Watson. They almost had a shot. Texans are a sneaky team because they can score. Defense is pretty bad, for sure. Titans, I think the defense will get better as season goes on, but it's been pretty bad. Exciting game, that 2-point conversion decision for the Texans. Pretty brutal in the end. They did almost get it, though. This was a shit show. Broncos, this is one of the games, if you remember, I didn't know what to expect from this game. I'm like, this can finish in any score. It can go any way. A Rona game, you don't know what to expect here. Broncos get it done, though. Let me say this. The Broncos dominated this game in a way where they completely outplayed the Patriots. This game probably should have been over by halftime. It's a positive, it's a negative for the Broncos because, yeah, that's a good team in New England. Good team. You dominated them. Congratulations. You got pressure on Cam Newton. You were able to move the ball to a certain extent. Some good things, but you dominated them and couldn't put the ball in the end zone and actually almost let them have a shot to win this game. Well, they would have won the game actually if they would have scored there at the end. So that's the big time negative there. I think the same thing with Drew Lock. Drew Lock had some throws where it was like, oh wow, how they fit that one in. That's a tough NFL throw. Not too many guys can make it. But then he had the bad interceptions. He was holding the ball for too long. Statistically wise, completion percentage wise, not the greatest. So kind of very big highs, pretty bad lows for Drew Lock. Phillip Lindsay is the running back one. What a surprise! Said that all offseason. Did nothing but prove that he's a starting running back. So it's great to have him back for the Broncos. So shifty, so quick, so fast, hitting the hole, has a big playability. Against the Patriots run defense, that's a pretty good game for Phillip Lindsay. Big-time game. They should have scored more points. Great game from McManus. They should have scored more points. I thought Jerry Jeudy can get going in this game. It's unfortunate that he didn't. I know he's going against a good secondary, but for matchup reasons, it felt like he can kind of get going. And you see all these other rookie receivers that are just dominant right off the bat. They look like top 20, 15, 10 receivers right off the bat. So a little underwhelming for Jerry Jeudy. It's pretty disappointing, but he's got a future. Yeah, Broncos defense. Shelby Harris is one of my guys. You know, I think he's extremely underrated. But talking about all offseason, couldn't believe the contract, the small contract that he got. The guy's a stud. He's always after the ball. He's always stiffing out the ball. He tips the ball constantly. I mean, he's always tipping the ball. Even on special teams, I feel like he does it all the time. But, yeah, he's making the big plays. I think Reed had a pretty good game. Rookie O.J. Mudia played a pretty damn good game. He's been pretty solid. You know, young corners, I talk about in the offseason too. Young corners, rookie corners, you can't expect them to play good early. They always struggle early, and they're really struggling. You look at the collection of rookie corners that were supposed to be good. It's really not a surprise to me, but they're really struggling besides a couple of guys. And O.J. Mudia, who was a guy that played a zone-only scheme at Iowa, he's supposed to be a guy that it's okay if he's struggling early. I think he's playing pretty good. You know, he gets beaten here and there, but he's playing pretty darn good. Yeah, I mean, the Broncos dominated this game, but kind of let the Patriots back in. I think some things got exposed this week a little bit. You know, you talk about the Browns' offense line. Have they really played anybody? Calm down. They're really good. Now they're playing a true test. Maybe they're playing the best. Same with the Patriots' offense line. They played very good this year, but now they're getting more of a test. Bradley Chubb was after get after them. I mean, everybody was. Everybody in the Broncos. Cam did hold the ball a little long sometimes. He was able to run the ball okay. Receivers weren't really getting open. I mean, not the best. They're really sloppy. Patriots are extremely sloppy in this game. So, yeah, Broncos, that's a good win. We expected sloppy from both teams, so just get out there with a win. But really wish they would put the ball in the end zone more. Really wish they would put the game away earlier like they should have. Really wish Drew Lock would take care of the ball a little better, more consistency. But it's one of those games, I guess, get out of there with the win. So, and that's what they did. So credit to them. Do I have to? I mean, do I have to talk about this game? 24-0. You drop a donut against a division rival. Plain simple, the Dolphins are the better team. They're better on both sides of the ball. They're better coached. They're more well coached. They were better in this game. Tua got some action. Dolphins win. The Dolphins had some injuries too. I know the Jets are pretty beat up, but really beat up. Fitzpatrick came out hot. Gaskin came out hot. It's what I like about the Dolphins. I like about Fitzpatrick is they're unpredictable, I thought, and they're playing the Jets. But there's no matter who you're playing, whether you're predictable or not, I don't think it matters who you're playing. They were pretty unpredictable off the gate to get this lead. So I'll say that I like that a lot. Gaskins was actually running pretty well. And you think, all right, let's just pound the ball. No, they unleashed an unpredictable pass 3 times actually in a row. They got Shaheen going. That's pretty unpredictable. And they passed the ball 3 times, while they're using Gaskins. So I think that's where you got to credit them. Fitzpatrick then threw a bad interception. They could have had more points. The next interception was you could put some on him, but it was a wild play by Marcus May. So Fitzpatrick started off pretty hot, went a little downhill, but nothing major, nothing to worry about. Yeah, Gaskin played a pretty good game. I think they could have scored more points in this game. They put 2 in at the end. I mean, I don't even. Ty Johnson had a couple runs for a big gain. Looked like he might be too good. Jets had to kind of not give him the ball anymore. So it's just Jets. Are they tanking? That's something I worry about. If Gase doesn't get fired, I talked about that it wouldn't surprise me if he stuck it through to the end, or they had him stick it through to the end. But what if he didn't get fired? Are they tanking on not going out and losing games on purpose, but they're kind of putting them in the position to do that? And was there an agreement? Was that kind of known where Gase's job is safe? I think that'd be a brutal mistake because whether they put the best guys out there that they have or not, they're still a bad team, and Gase is still a terrible coach. So that would be a colossal mistake. Just a thought. Not saying that's what's happening, but Dolphins just plain simple better. Christian Wilkins has been sensational this year so far. Absolute stud. You see why he was a top 10 prospect last year, on the board, and dominant run stopper and getting some pressure as well. I think Emmanuel Ogbah played a pretty good game. Xavier Howard, I predicted him to be a elite corner last year because he was kind of coming off a great season, but did he have that label yet? And that was going into last year. He has some off the field issues, didn't play a whole bunch, and now we get to see him in action. This guy is a playmaker. I was very high on him out of Baylor. I thought I was higher on him than everyone else, and I love what I'm seeing right now from Xavier Howard. So fantastic. I shouldn't have. I said too much about this game. I shouldn't say anymore. Wow, this was a surprising one here. 38-10, Buccaneers win. 10 points right off the gate for the Packers, and that's what they finished with. Where do I start? This is a good Buccaneers team here. And you step closer to full strength. They didn't have Fournette. Last week against the Bears, they weren't at full strength in Chicago prime time. They had a stupid amount of penalties, and they still probably should have won the game. So I'm not going to overreact from that one a week ago. This is impressive. This was more of a good matchup. Every matchup is different. Every matchup is different, but Buccaneers are going to be scary down the stretch of the season. They're going to be scary, as predicted. So this was a good game. There's a lot that goes into this game, but what was the difference? The Buccaneers got pressure on Aaron Rodgers. They blitzed the hell out of him, and the pass rushers alone were good too. Whether it was the actual edge rushers, guys in the D line, even without Vita Vea, who's mainly more of a run stopper. But they took the run game away. They got up, they made plays. And they took the run game away, made them one-dimensional. Again, defense, guessing game, make them pass. Let's blitz the house. Let's do it. Rodgers couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle it, and I think he can adjust. We'll talk about that, what the Packers can do in a second here. But that was the game. It's one of those, it's one of those moments where is pressure the most important thing in football? Because you got a great elite quarterback, have an MVP season, and he doesn't even matter at this point because you're getting pressure. It looks ridiculous. And the Buccaneers have been a little underwhelming on the pressure up to this point, but I'm not really worried. It's something that's going to pick up going forward. Excellent game plan by Todd Bowles. They didn't really start with it, too. They didn't want to use it right off the bat. That was smart, too, because you didn't want them to get a chance to adjust. You want to hit them when it mattered. You want to hit them in the right moment and then rapidly take that from them, not let them have the whole game, which I don't know if they would have came back anyways, but man, what a game plan. They saw something on film, and this kind of goes back. We're learning some things. We talked about the Browns. We talked about the Patriots. Their offensive line's been great so far. The Packers have had the best offensive line in football at this point. Rodgers has been protected the best out of anybody. He has been getting the ball out pretty quick at times, but he has been the most protected quarterback in the NFL. But you kind of go back, and it kind of gives me how did I not think of it? They haven't played a good pass rush yet. They haven't played, the Vikings were supposed to be, but Yannick Ngakoue played 40% snaps and Daniel Hunter's out. Who else they play? Go down the list. They didn't play good pass rushes yet. The Saints maybe were supposed to be a good one, but they just haven't been this year. It's not the same. They haven't played it yet, and the Buccaneers hit them with surprise. We got good edge rushers, and we can blitz them. We got excellent blitzers with Devin White and Levante David. Let's use our strength. They got Tom Brady. They got Mike Evans. They got Chris Godwin. But I was saying all offseason, their biggest strength, the people are saying you can't overreact from them getting Tom Brady. That makes them better getting Tom Brady. But my point was, look where their big strength is. It's Levante David, it's Devin White, and those guys around them, and their defense, really, their ability to pass rush, get blitz. So that's exactly what happened in this game, and we see what I was talking about in the offseason. This Bucs defense, Todd Bowles, these guys, they're the real deal. They're the real deal here, and that was the difference in this game. So they saw something. Credit to them. They executed. In that regard, they made them one-dimensional, so that was big time. But it was 10-0 right off the bat. Rodgers was making some quick, good throws. They weren't really getting the pressure. They weren't really blitzing at that point. And they got 10 points right off the bat, and it almost felt like, man, Packers are going to give it to them. It's what it felt like. And then the Rodgers pick six, the Jamel Dean, big, great. Not a good throw, not a smart throw, but he really jumped the route, took it to the house. It's a game-changing momentum moment, and they were bringing the blitz at that point. And then right out, another one then. Another one to Devontae Adams. Get Devontae Adams back, and guys are getting open less and less, but not as much time to throw. So that was the reason, really. Obviously, it's not one of the best receivers in football, Devontae Adams, but that ball was tipped. It's not really on Rodgers on that one, but it is in kind of a tight window throw. That one's tipped, picked, and it's just different from there. The game's different there. Ronald Jones able to run the ball a bit, and we see that's the Packers' weakness is kind of you can run on them, and then kind of tackling after the line of scrimmage, a little bit of an issue. And we saw that as well, but that was not the main reason. So the Packers, up until this game, I think no question was the best team in football because how explosive their offense was. They're able to make plays on defense, but it felt like Zarius Smith's got to carry the load. Like if he doesn't get pressure, which you can't expect him to every single week, you can't expect him to make that strip sack or that sack on fourth down, third down, even that run stop he's been getting. You can't expect him to do it every single time. And Alexander's been good. Seen him chasing guys at times this game, but he's been great too. But Yeah, it's kind of two guys. I know for the game changing moment though, they're relying on Zadarius Smith too much, and so we start to see still a great team, still will be a contender, still will be a great team. They'll adjust. Again, we'll talk about that in a second, but so they're still great. We can't overreact from one loss, but we did learn some things from one loss. But yeah, when they become one-dimensional, they can't rely on one or two things here. So we do see some weaknesses for the Packers. The blitz game, I suppose. And then, something I guess we already knew with sometimes stopping the run and making the tackles. But, relying on a guy like Zadarius Smith too much maybe. But, yeah, great win for the Bucs. Great on both sides of the ball. Wild game. But this kind of felt like that Niners matchup for the Packers last year. They couldn't score because of the pass rush. They were made one-dimensional. They just couldn't do it. It felt like, and then they were able to figure out the weakness on the opposite side, the other team there, the Niners, and now in this case the Bucs. It feels like that type of matchup. It feels like a similar matchup. I think the Packers will adjust to this. They will try to solve it. And I think they will get better against it. Rodgers get better against it. See other great quarterbacks like Mahomes, able to beat the blitz, but affects everyone different, But I think it can be a better game against it next time around. They can make some adjustments. The best thing about blitzes, though, they're surprised. They're surprises. You can start to pick it up at some time. So it's a tough team. It's a tough thing to adjust against. It really is. And it's only week 6, but maybe the Bucs aren't a team that the Packers want to see in the playoffs. And this could have been I'm not making a prediction here, a preview of an NFC Championship game. So that's kind of the Packers' weakness. The good thing is, yeah, they got this. They're smart enough staff and mainly quarterback, offensive line, to adjust to this and get better against it. But will it be fixed? Something that's kind of a surprise attack? Probably not. It will be better, but will it be fixed? Good thing is, the main good thing is, you look at the rest of their schedule, they're really not, and some teams could surprise. Teams will game plan like this. They're going to watch this. They're going to think, wow, Buccaneers just exposed the Packers. We're going to do this too. And that might be the bad thing. Other teams will do it. It'll surprise the Packers, but are those teams good enough to win the game? That's kind of the thing there. So the schedule looks pretty favorable for the Packers in that regard. The Bears, which is a serious contender there in the NFC North, they have a really good pass rush. Their blitz game could be a little better. It's pretty solid. It could be a little better. But those could be interesting. The question with there is, can the Bears score 38 points? Can they keep up with the Packers? So that's a different matchup altogether. But other than the Bears, I was thinking NFC teams that would be a bad matchup in this regard here, this way. I think the Rams would actually be a pretty scary matchup for the Packers. That's a team they can meet in the playoffs. They don't play them in the regular season. Are they as good as the Bucs? Maybe not, but they have that shifty underneath offense that the Packers kind of struggle to tackle, but they have a really good blitz. They run a lot of cover zero, and they have Aaron Donald in the interior. So a team like the Bucs, I think, could have shown us, could be teaching us, could be. Packers, again, I think will improve on this. But they could, the Bucs Packers, they could have just taught us something here in this game. But wild game. But then you think, the Packers were up 10-0. They looked like they were going to dominate the game. If Rodgers didn't throw the pick 6, how much different would the game be? And that's tough to think about because, again, they look like they were rolling. And first thought was, if they didn't throw that pick 6, it's a whole different game. That was a big momentum changer. And the momentum changer, yeah. But I'm starting to think that it might have been not that much of a different of a game. Been closer, but the Buccaneers were saving that blitz at that point. So I think they still would have struggled to score. So I don't know, wild game there, wild game. But the Packers have been the best team up to this point, so still very much a contender. But the Bucs showing us that their defense is the real deal, and they're very much a contender. So wild game there. I think somewhat of another wild one, but I think this week was about learning. We saw teams kind of get exposed in some aspects and some units, what their weakness is. We learned that a lot, and I think this is that type of game. The Niners have been looking so bad, but they game planned correctly for this game. They came out and they pounded the football. They established the run first, and what we learned here is the Niners could still do that. Mostert's still very good. Then he got taken out of the game at one point, but I think he's okay. Hopefully. He's a strong runner. I think very underrated. And he showed us last year that he's good, but I think people were like, whoa, you can't overreact because he did play good in a playoff run, keep in mind. He's pretty damn good. Yeah, they established the run first. They showed us that you can run on the Rams. Let's double Aaron Donald. Let's kind of wedge him out of the way. Let's get those outside zone runs going, even pounding in the middle when we double Aaron Donald. Fantastic. It was working. The Rams struggled to stop the run, and what that did was made the Rams think run. Again, defense is a guessing game. Rams are thinking run, and then you unleash these quick plays here. They read the cover zero at the Rams run. Man coverage only takes one guy to get beat. So Jimmy Garoppolo played a good game, pretty simplified game plan for him. Establishing the run kind of made it easier. So there was a fantastic game plan, fantastic job by the offensive line and them, establishing that run game for sure. And that was the difference in this game. Really, that was it. That plain and simple was it. And I guess the Rams not being able to move the ball, the corners of the Niners, Mosley, it's good to have him back. He's a great corner. Jason Verrett played an excellent game. Verrett and Mosley, I think, played an outstanding game there. And that was really the difference. The Rams were not converting on third down. Early on, Goff was barely missing some throws. Then there was some drops that kind of cost them at one point. I thought Darrell Henderson was running pretty good at one point, but they were down and they couldn't get anything going on offense. So, it looked like they were able. It was weird because it looked like the Rams were able to move the ball until a certain point. Again, like the corners clutched up, but maybe some questionable play calls. I don't really mind them too much, but just either hitting the throws or not hitting the throws and then catching the ball or not catching the ball, I think was pretty brutal for them. But a weird game, kind of a boring game, honestly, but a weird game because the Niners they established the run. They figured they knew it. They had the game plan right. They were dominating this game. They were outplaying the Rams completely. It felt like the Rams didn't have a shot. So then in that, thinking about it that way, in that aspect, 24-16, if the Rams almost got the ball back at the end, even though they didn't get a shot, they kind of had a shot. They were kind of in the game. If they got the ball back and scored, they were in reaching distance. They could have tied the game, whatever, which is kind of wild thinking about the Niners dominated this game. I think on all phases. But it's weird because the Rams were a few drops away from being in this game or maybe more. So it was weird. It was a weird game in that way because, Cooper Kupp had a couple, big drops. Robert Woods had a drop there, towards the end as well. And the Cooper Kupp ones were more crucial. A deep ball that should have been caught and then a touchdown that should have been caught. They ended up throwing an interception on that. Great play by Verrett, but ended up throwing an interception. So if you look at it that way, the Rams not only could have been in the game, they could have won the game that way. But the Niners went out and had the right game plan. They dominated this game. So they were deserving to win in this game for sure. So, it matters about the game plan every week for all of the NFL, but these two teams specifically as well. You see that because the Niners really struggling against teams that you expect them to beat. And the Eagles game, they kind of choked away. They probably outplayed them. But, so it's all about the matchup this week. Every week. The Rams, it looks like you can run on the Rams. The Rams play the Bears on next Monday night. That's going to be a very low-scoring defensive game. The key, I talk about the Bears. The key for the Bears is not being one-dimensional, established run. Will they be able to establish run against the Rams? Will the Rams be able to figure that out after a brutal loss this week? So that's going to be an interesting game. A lot of back and forth on that one. So in a very low-scoring defensive game, so that should be interesting. But that's going to do it for this recap. I probably went on longer than I thought I would. There's always a lot to talk about. We got 2 games tonight, Monday night. We'll be talking on Twitter about those, giving my takeaways. We got a lot of content to get to for Week 7, so we're going to start on that tomorrow. Can't wait with Power Rankings picks. Plenty more, so hopefully you can subscribe, turn notifications on, join us for that. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.